So a MiG-21 is still better than JF-17. That much we can hold.
No, maybe the pilot is better. The JF-17 is a good aircraft, very good aircraft. But remember, it's the JF-17 is much more modern. The issue, of course, is that you're also looking at Chinese avionics versus Russian avionics. Don't forget that. Maneuverability-wise, remember the JF-17, surprisingly, even though it doesn't look like it, is an organic evolution of the MiG-21. Never forget that. It's a MiG-21 where the air intake has been shifted from the front to the sides. The evolution, it's clearly documented, is from a MiG-21 over several generations of MiG-21 evolutions that have happened. But in this case, this is one of those things. If you remember COPE India 2004, when American fighters came to India to fight, we shot down a lot of their fighters based on the fact that they were radar silent and that we engaged them in dogfights. Had it been a normal scenario, they would have detected us and shot us down much earlier. It's the same way you look at the unequal air combat figures in Serbia, in Iraq, in Libya, right? They just collapse. Their air forces just collapse. India, thankfully, invests significantly more on its pilots. So all good.
Okay, and now let's discuss Rafale versus J-20.
The Rafale is just way better. It can detect, so the J-20, you look at it up front, one-to-one. You look at the Chinese long-range missile first. It's not an air-breathing missile. An non-air-breathing missile is sort of, जो दिवाली को rocket चलाते हो ना, it runs out of kinetic energy when it runs out of fuel. So even at the end, even though it may go up to about 180 kilometers, at the end it simply can't maneuver because it doesn't have the energy left. It's carrying so much dead weight. This entire rocket was full of fuel. By the time it reaches where it needs to start maneuvering and shooting down the plane, it's lost so much fuel, but it's still carrying this entire weight. So it's expending more fuel to propel this. The weight ratio is going up. It can't maneuver. What we have with the Rafale is Meteor, which is an air-breathing missile. It's literally like a human being running, able to breathe in more and therefore able to maneuver towards the end more. Plus the Meteor has a much longer range. So just in terms of weaponry, you're clear. Then you remember I told you how the J-20 isn't, even in terms of radar stealth, it isn't very stealthy. And given how much better Western radars are, they can pick up on these small things. Third issue is the fact that the Rafale will be able to detect the heat signature, the thermal, the infrared signature of the J-20 before the J-20 can of the Rafale. So you have a significant air advantage, even though you may think that, you know, the Rafale is a fourth generation fighter and a J-20 is a quote unquote stealth, so-called total pseudo fifth generation fighter. You think that the J-20 is better, it is not. The Rafale is still more than a match for the J-20. The only issue will be if they throw 5 or 6 J-20s for every Rafale. A Rafale can carry maximum of about 4 or 6 Meteor missiles. But if you throw 7 J-20s at it, the Rafale will kill all 6 J-20s, but the 7th one, that will survive to come and kill the Rafale. Because at that point, there's nothing the Rafale can do. And this is why Stalin used to say that quantity has a quality all of its own. Russia did not win the war through superior weapons. Russia won World War II through superior numbers. Because the German tanks used to take out 5, 6 Russian tanks, but the Russians used to have 10 tanks. So the remaining 4 would come up and take you out. So the great advantage that China has is quantity. But in terms of quality, the Rafale is a far, far superior fighter.
And Sukhoi?
Specific to aircraft. So इसमें क्या होता है? The only Chinese aircraft that Pakistan has is the JF-17, well, advanced aircraft. They've got the older ones. But the Chinese aircraft that the Pakistan Air Force flies is not flown by the Chinese Air Force. The Chinese Air Force hasn't bought any JF-17s, right? So they can use it technically, but the intelligence signature of that will be vast. You can pick it up months, years ahead, and we've not seen anything. There were all these rumors of, you know, Chinese planes landing at Skardu. We did immediate satellite scans. There are no Chinese planes in Skardu. सब बकवास किए जाते हैं और सब समझते हैं वो इंडियन एक्सप्रेस और बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड की तरह कि पहले की तरह हम झूठ बोल सकते थे और कोई भी सैटेलाइट इस्तेमाल करके हमारी झूठ को ये नहीं बोलेगा. और आज तक इनके उल्लू के पट्टे एडिटर इतना भी नहीं जानते हैं कि आजकल जो भी आप झूठ बोलोगे इमीडिएटली एक सैटेलाइट को ट्रेन करके 2-3 दिन के अंदर आपको झूठा साबित किया जा सकता है. So they can, so you can tell a lot. There is no infrastructure right now for the Chinese planes to use Pakistani airbases. Theoretically, can it be done? Sure. But then would Pakistan want to get involved in an India-China war? Think about that. As I understand it, China never sticks its neck out for Pakistan. Pakistan doesn't stick its neck out for China. Can single-engine Tejas replace the MiG-29K in naval services? F-35. Yes, there is already a naval version of the Tejas. The problem is the Tejas is a doomed project ab initio. The Tejas is the smallest fighter, physical dimensions. It is the smallest fighter around. Okay. You're basically saying that a country like India can produce something thinner and smaller than a MacBook Air overnight. It can't. And this was the delusion of the LCA. The LCA was conceived when size equaled maneuverability before fly-by-wire came on. It simply does not have the size today to take on the amount of electronics required to win the battle. And we've determined that electronics is what wins the battle. Okay? Not all these circus tricks that Russian planes do in Charkha, Kulbit and the Cobra maneuver and all of that. That is not what wins wars anymore. Okay? Don't make up your mind watching Top Gun. Modern combat is very unsexy. It is not like Tom Cruise in Top Gun. It is not like the Battle of Britain, World War II movie aaya tha, Battle of Britain. It's not like that. It is too small to carry the avionics required. You need a generic expansion. It is an obsolete. It is वो क्या कहते हैं? It's a stillborn.
Next one.
In the upcoming USIBC summit, which is going to be held on when Lockheed Martin CEO and Tata chairman will be present, do you think India is going to give green signal for
F-21 jet?
No. See, again, I personally love the F-21. I prefer it to the Gripen because the Gripen is more expensive. The F-21 end of life, so you can actually shift all the equipment here and things like that. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि अगेन द सेम तू कौन से सर्विस में स्क्वाड्रन में सर्विस किया वालास दे थिंक दैट जस्ट बिकॉज आउटसाइड द F-21 looks like the F-16 it is the same as the F-16 so and because Pakistan flies the F-16 they don't want it ठीक है economic terms it's probably the best fighter we can go in for but here's the problem you're stuck with the Air Force that you have you're stuck with the Air Force leadership you have you're stuck with their biases and prejudices you're stuck with their lack of exposure to the outside world. This is what you're going to deal with. Do I think it's good? Yes. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not. Tejas Mark 1A versus JF-17 Block 3. भाई JF-17 Block 1 भी तुम्हारे Tejas Mark 3 से भी बेहतर होने वाला है. ठीक है ना? This is a Babus cannot manufacture planes. With all due respect to Sanjay ji and to my mother who's probably watching this and to my father who's in heaven or in hell, I don't know where he is, who are all Babus. Babus cannot manufacture planes. बाबू एक इंडस्ट्री को भी प्रॉफिटेबल नहीं बना पा रहे प्लेन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग तो बहुत दूर की बात है भाई JF-17 has been I know the guy who is in charge of integration I'm not going to name him in Pakistan because he taught me more about the Indian Air Force than any Indian Air Force person taught me about the Indian Air Force and it tells you the level of knowledge the Pakistanis have they know their weaknesses we don't know our weaknesses we live in delusion the JF-17 is a fantastic plane. Don't go by the freak accident of a MiG-21 being able to shoot it down. Remember, the Americans in Serbia lost the F-117 stealth fighter. Freaks happen. Okay, freaks happen. Don't judge a plane by the freaks. Judge it by the consistency. It's a very good plane. It's already had export success. Azerbaijan खरीद रहा है, Egypt खरीद रहा है, क्या बर्मा भी खरीद रहा है ना? बर्मा या बांग्लादेश या श्रीलंका भी खरीद रहा है. So, if you want to move on to the AMCA, go on. The problem is that none of the problems with the LCA have you really sorted out in terms of what all went wrong over the last 35 years. जब तक आप वो sort out नहीं करोगे, AMCA is going to be another debacle like your LCA. By the time it comes, everybody would know. Where does Tejas Mark 1 fit into A2A combat today? It fits in terms of jobs for the boys for HAL. It provides employment for the chronically unemployable. It provides employment both for chronically unemployable babus, scientists that no private company would want to hire, and for workers who would be factory floor laborers who would be kicked out for incompetence and inefficiency within about 5 hours of joining any private sector firm. Okay, that is where it works, and in that it's a brilliant play because it really gives them a lot of improvement. Air-to-air combat में it fits in nowhere. किसी के वहम में शायद. Okay, great. Age of fire are people who matter.